Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are. My name is Jim. This is More Sunshine, Please. And this is a super special Saturday live stream with D&G Explorers, Derek and Gregory. How are you guys?
Good morning with my huge Tigger coffee cup.
It's 3 o'clock in the morning here in
What?
in the
That's
house.
not true.
It's not true.
And we're having our coffee to keep up.
It is 10 o'clock here in the West Coast.
It is. Good morning. Welcome, Jim. And I love the name of the show, More D&G or More Explorers, Please.
Did you say welcome, Jim? Welcome
Yes.
to his own show?
Welcome,
Okay.
Jim, to your show.
You
Yes.
forget we're on his
I
show.
was going to mention that, but let's let it go. That's not the first time that's happened, by the way.
We're on his channel.
Because I don't host you guys as often as you host me, so that's understandable.
I know. What's up with that? I'm just playing.
Let me quickly go to the chat. Just very quickly. Life Adventure Show, welcome. My mom is here. Pepper Tree Villa Seasons greetings. I have a special sound for them in the future, in the very near future. I don't have it set up yet, so my
Oh,
apologies.
darn.
Blake is here. Mara Memphis, Jennifer Jones, thank you so much for being the first ones in here. Today, we are, and this was actually your idea, guys, and
Blame Ham if it doesn't come out good.
yes, Gregory.
No, I think it'd be fun.
A few weeks ago on my regular Tuesday live stream, I came up with a list of 15 Disney movies that I haven't seen yet that most of the world has seen. So let me I actually made the list. Here we go. Here it is. Let me do this real quick. Okay. Which way am I going? Okay. So, and this isn't by any means a comprehensive list of everything I haven't seen. There's a lot I could have put on here, but this is just the first 15 that I put on my list. These were 15 movies I haven't seen yet. Since I've made the list, I have seen some, and I've color-coded them. They are now yellow. I don't know how well you can see how yellow some of
Yeah,
those.
I could see him.
Immediately after I did that show, I watched The Rocketeer and Sleeping Beauty. But then Gregory had the idea, we should do a live stream where we talk about, let's maybe perhaps review the movies or just talk about the movies after we've seen these. And I thought it was a great idea. So here we are. That's what we're doing. And the movies we will be talking about today are Bambi from 1942. Is that correct?
That's right.
It is. I wrote it down. And 1950s Treasure Island.
Arr.
So had you guys seen these before?
You said you saw Treasure Island a couple times.
Probably about 3 or 4 in my life.
I don't know how, but okay. I saw it for the first time yesterday, and I have seen Bambi several times, but it's been a long time since I've seen Bambi. It's been a while for you too, huh?
About 5 years since I saw Bambi. Bambi was one of my favorite animated movies, but I would say watching it again, I have a different understanding of the story from what I remembered before.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I had not seen them before this week. And as a matter of fact, I just watched Bambi last night.
And you were devastated.
I made some notes that we're about to talk about. Should we jump right into it?
Sure.
Do you have a preference which one to talk about first?
It's your show, you pick.
No, I'm asking you.
Well, since we're talking about Bambi, I guess we'll go with Bambi.
Yeah.
All right, let's do that. Here we go. Bambi. I don't have when we do the Five Foolish Mortals, we ask Ben of Pepper Tree Villa to a bit of a backstory or a little bit about the movie. I didn't prepare that. Do you guys know much about the movie?
We did look up something.
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. No, go ahead.
All I know is it is Walt Disney Animation Studios' 5th feature film. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Came out in 1942. It's 71 minutes long. Beyond that, I don't have much to go on. Not that we need that. Not that we need that.
It would have been their second movie, but many things took place that made that not happen. So they had like 3-4 movies in between that.
I always thought it was the second one, and then Pinocchio was kind of thrown in there, and then I thought it was a third. But when I looked at the list, it came out with Snow White, and then Pinocchio, and then Fantasia, and then Dumbo, which really surprised me because I thought that was in the 50s. And then Bambi was the fifth one.
They kept putting Bambi on the back burner.
It is, and I know they took a lot of time. To me, it was like one of the first animated features where they tried to make it more into realism. So where the other animated characters that they've done, like in Snow White, were a little bit more animated and like cartoony looking. This one, they made the characters seem more real, and I think it made more of a connection with it. And I remember them putting live animals in the studios so the artists could draw them.
It took a while for them to even draw it to be realistic. That's why they waited a while.
It was really painstaking time that they put into it. The movie, we were asking this ourselves, was it an original story? But it was from a 1923 book called Bambi, A Life in the Woods, and it was by an Austrian author named Felix Sultan, I believe is how you pronounce his last name.
And you memorized all this information, right?
Because,
You're a plethora of information.
Yeah, not because I have Wikipedia. But the one thing that I noticed from the film is if you look at the first 5 movies they did, they were all completely different the way they did the animated sequences. And I think a lot of this movie was when they Fantasia to me was kind of like a creative movie where they tried different stuff with the music. I think this movie fed off of that one with the creative stuff that they learned from that. But I noticed how the drawing was more focused on them, but in the background it was more kind of watercolorish. It was kind of an impression of what it was like out in the woods or in that world, but the focus was drawn into, because of the way they drew it, it was drawn into the animals, and that was different than what you could expect from Snow White. All the first 4 movies I named, they were completely different in the way they were animated. Like Pinocchio was the backgrounds were beautiful, they were lush, they looked like they had realism in it. This one was completely different, so a different style by the movie Bambi, and I thought it played out really well.
That's interesting you say that, because it was different in one respect, but it was similar in another that I'll explain right now. I had mentioned before we went live, I watched it last night, and I started playing the movie on my phone as I was preparing something to eat. So I started the movie, and I had it playing in the background. So I said, okay, I'll pay attention. I'll get going as I'm preparing a meal. And about 25 minutes in, I realized I have no idea what's going on, because there's very little dialogue and there's just music, which was very pleasant. But I couldn't really... I wasn't paying attention, so I had to rewatch the beginning of the movie after a while. But what I realized upon viewing it twice now is that it reminded me of it could have been another segment of Fantasia, in the respect that they use the music, the score, as sound effects. In particular, there's a song 16 minutes in called Little April Showers. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, it's one of our favorites.
So Bambi's laying there and he's seeing drops of rain hit leaves that are right by him. And each time a drop hits a leaf, there's a little clarinet, I think, sound effect. So instead of a true to life sound effect, the scene is being scored by an orchestra. And then, of course, the thunder is all, cymbals in timpani, I'm guessing. I don't recall that. But it was very Fantasia-ish. And I'll be honest, I have tried to watch Fantasia in the past and have fallen. The first time I tried, I fell asleep. And I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one to have fallen asleep to Fantasia.
It's soothing.
Very soothing, but it's less of a story than it is a ballet to the music. You know, it's admirable that the animators, they're not bound by live action. They can do whatever their imagination comes up with through this new medium, or somewhat new medium, a fully feature animated feature. So it's they let their imaginations go, which was great in one respect, but it's not a traditional story the way perhaps Pinocchio was, or Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I found that it was almost less a story about Bambi than it was like a scene of nature, and you kind of get to see all of the forest animals. And then after a bit, it focuses more on Bambi, sort of. But I got the feeling that it was maybe they wanted to continue on. Oh, we loved working on Fantasia. Let's do a little bit more of that. And so I thought it was maybe heavily influenced by their work with Fantasia. Subsequently, I could not, or consequently, I could not just listen to the movie and figure out what was going on. I had to rewatch it. So let me welcome in some people that are joining us. Disney Nerd Herders, good to see you guys. The MGM duo is here. Uper Wisdom Videos, Jason and Bridget, thank you so much for stopping by. And Dennis Algazi is here. Thank you so much. And did I say hi to Jennifer Jones? I don't remember. Well, hello. Thank you, everybody. Mara says early ASMR, perhaps.
Ben is here from Pepper Tree Villa.
Hey, Ben. How are you doing?
I know he was running errands. I don't know why this show is so itchy.
If we had like YouTubers who were named characters in a movie, Ben would be Thumper because he likes to.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah. But this, I don't know if you've seen these before. Pepper Tree Villa. I'm sure you have. You see everything.
What is it?
This is the little mouse from Tick Tick.
Yeah, there you go. I'm doing this wrong here.
That is a very small.
Yeah, from the little mouse. They're called the Tiny Kingdom. But this was a set that they had. This is the boxes that they actually
definitely
came in.
tiny.
Yeah, this is the Tiny Kingdom. So I thought I had Bambi, but they have Flower, which is cute, and they have Thumper, and they also have an owl and a chipmunk. So
I really liked Owl.
I must have broke. Bambi.
So these are not ornaments; these are figurines.
These are little tiny figurines, but don't know really why I showed them, other than the fact that
because we're talking about Bambi.
Yes, and they're Bambi has always been one of my favorite
movies.
Does
it have a year on there on the bottom?
You'd have to look at
No, on the bottom.
No, it just has a Disney. It says what the character is, Mr. Mouse, and the copyright Disney.
Oh, okay.
As I'm losing my train of thought, what was I going to go with on that? It must have been a lie, so I guess I will move on.
Now, I mentioned that it resembled, it reminded me a bit of Fantasia, or it could have been a segment of Fantasia. But also another movie that it kind of reminded me of. Did it remind you of anything upon another watch? Just as a new...
it reminded me of Lion King.
Yes, that's what I'm getting at.
A little bit.
I was surprised at how much it reminded me of The Lion King.
It was a circle of life. They even had a rock that looked like Pride Rock.
Yeah, before it became really huge.
Yes.
And then they had Rafiki hold up Bambi. That was what? I've seen this. No, they didn't. But
as Bambi's kicking around.
But right down to the very end where the circle is happening again with the family, and I thought that was striking. I didn't expect that, but I didn't really truly know what Bambi was about.
Yeah, it took me because I always think of Bambi being like the picture and you have on your computer screen. That's what you think of Bambi as being, but most of the movie he was
nice,
not
wholesome
little
classic.
Bambi. Yeah, he was not a little Bambi. He was and they grew up like real quick.
Yeah, I know.
Yes. I did not expect Bambi to grow up in the movie. I was surprised to see that. And he is not that for half the movie. That's just the beginning. But and that's another point I guess I'm getting to, is that this seemed to be, they really tried to go for cute. Like these characters, Thumper and Flower and little Bambi. It seems like they really tried to nail home how cute these characters are, and they were. With their voices, their little kid voices, and their behaviors. And perhaps that's why marketing is always little Bambi.
Mm-hmm.
And having said that, it seems as though when I just watched it last night, I thought to myself, this seems like a young child's movie. Like if it were made today, this would be geared toward very young children, because there's not a ton of dialogue. There's a lot of cute animals in it.
Very
lots of music. The story's easy to follow, and I just thought if that were made today, this would be Disney Junior or something like that. What were you about to say?
I was going to say the music itself is a character in the movie that kind of tells a story. I know Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer was going to make this movie, and then they said that it was going to be too hard to do with the drawings and everything. So then Disney got the rights, and then they have the whole mother scene, I know, and if that was on Disney Junior, that would probably make a lot of parents mad because just the way that it's very traumatic. They don't show it, but at one point they were going to show her jumping over a log and getting shot. They were going to actually show that scene, and they decided to cut it where you don't see what happens, but you get the idea. Okay, she got shot. But even the bullet, when the gun goes off, it's like a freaking cannon. So it really emphasizes, okay, she got shot. She's not coming back to this movie.
Yeah, it's probably better the way they did it. And, what was interesting is you never see man, and you never see a weapon, do you? I don't recall that. I mean, I was making dinner, but I didn't recall seeing those things. So everything's implied.
And if I'm yelling, I didn't mean to. Sorry.
I don't know. I didn't think you were yelling.
I put Greg on mute, and I said, "Greg, you're yelling."
He's right next to you, so maybe it seems
that way. Getting into it.
Oh, I like it. I like the passion. But that's another thing. Maybe answer this. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not a hunter, but I know that there is a hunting season, and usually it's in the winter. Normally the early winter. Now, in the scene, and I hope I'm not spoiling this for anybody, but Bambi's mother doesn't make it. And just
they haven't seen it by now, they're not going to ever watch it.
So in the scene where this happens, Bambi's mother sees some grass poking through the snow and says, "Oh, new spring grass." So that's when they go out into the meadow and when they're vulnerable to the hunters.
Mm-hmm.
And they thought, spring grass? How long is this hunting season? Or are these hunters hunting illegally? I don't know. Again, I'm not a hunter. I don't know the ins and outs. But I did a tiny bit of research, and the latest that I saw any hunting season go was the end of January, which seems too early for spring grass. Everything's still frozen in late January, rather. So, what's going on there?
Well,
I never even thought about that.
Yeah,
I just thought it was a changing of the season as spring was starting to come in, but I didn't really associate when hunting season was.
Yeah, I mean, if it was geared towards kids, I don't think they'd be worrying about that. But yeah,
I mean,
I know.
To lead up,
it's funny though.
To lead up to it, they did show them as the seasons progressed. They were eating the bark off the trees, and it was getting higher and higher and higher. And then even Bambi was saying that I'm hungry or the mom asks him, "I'm sorry, you're hungry," or something like that, as they're huddling next to each other. And then the scene with the grass shows, and just kind of they're seeing food and they're getting their guard down, not paying attention so much. They're willing to take a risk to get food that they haven't had in a long time. So
I'd like to know what kind of trees they were eating from, because they just ripped it off like paper and ate it like it was thin sliced meat. I mean, it wasn't like hard bark that you'd be chewing constantly. So
Greg, I agree. Just another reason why this movie is awful. No,
Maren Memphis said Bambi looks like Rudolph, and I was actually, when we were watching it, I'm thinking he looks like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Oh, speaking of that, remember that one part where it showed they use a lot of trumpets in this song with all the male bucks coming out, and then they're all jumping off of that one mountain. It's like dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun. I said, "Oh, look, it's like Santa's sleigh," because they look like reindeer.
Yeah. Tammy, Life Adventure Show, said that after y'all watch the original movies, y'all should watch remakes of the Disney movie and give your opinion.
I like the y'all. Y'all should watch.
Yeah, I love Tammy's accent.
And I like how you stuck to the script there, and you said it too.
Y'all.
There was the part in the springtime where it was getting towards the end of the movie, and every time the hunters would come around, the crows would be out. And I think the crows were they were the symbol to show man is coming, and they were warning everybody. And I thought it was traumatic for kids if they were watching it with that poor quail. She was like hyperventilating, looking around. They're coming. They're almost here. I can't take it anymore. And she goes up and gets shot, and you see her body plummet to the ground. And you see another quail get shot and plummet to the ground. I'm like, oh my God, they're shooting.
They created like a stampede.
Little critters inside. I mean, what are you going to do with a chipmunk? You're going to roast it on an open fire?
So are these hunters, are they just hunting everything? Again, I'm
They were
not sure the seasons overlap like that, but I don't really know. They can just go out with their guns wherever they are and just shoot whatever they see.
Or they were just they were doing it for sport. They didn't care,
You for Wisdom said someone was poaching.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, it made it put humans in a bad light too. I think it made, because as you talked about, they made at the beginning, they made the animals very cutesy. You connect with them, and then they quickly get older, and you can see it's the coming of age where they all find their little mates that they
all get Twitter-pated.
Yes.
Yes.
And, so you build that bond with them, and then you see the cruelness, if you want to call it cruelness, or what
cruel.
we do as humans. I don't hunt. But you see the other side.
You're
of it,
out there hunting squirrels every time we go for a walk. What are you talking
yes.
about?
And it really puts into light and makes us think as humans, the other side of the aspect and what we're doing with the environment and just the hunting aspect of it.
Life Adventure Show cried. I don't know what part, but there was a lot of parts to cry at in the movie.
The mom dying was traumatic for me.
Well, it probably cried at wasting time watching this movie. No, I'm kidding. Again, I didn't mind the movie. I joke.
It was very weird that they went from a sad part and then they cut to the next scene and it's all happy spring and all the birds are singing and flocking around.
But that's the point of what Jim was saying about the music in Fantasia. There were two big songs in there which kind of set the mood of the movie, which has that link to Fantasia. One of them was the Tick Tick Tock or Drip Drip Drop with Little April Shower. And then the next one was that, because that made
Twitter-pated.
That when no, not that song. So
there was no song called Twitter-pated. I was reading her.
When Bambi's mom died, and it was always, whenever there was a dramatic part, everything stopped. There was no music. It was there was air silence, and then you would hear, "You're not going to see your mom anymore," or something like that, and it just really made it more dramatic. And then they did a song about spring. So it transitioned into happiness, and it kind of, to me, it kind of try to pump you up a little bit, and
forces you.
Seasons change, as things are moving on, things are coming back to life.
It forces you from going to depressed and being in that mode from the movie to, oh, spring, happy time, everybody. Let's forget what happened. Let's move on to the next part of the movie. That's what it seemed like they're trying to force you to be happy again.
Try to pick your spirits up, because that was especially back in that time period, that was dramatic.
My favorite parts of the movie, I think, were the Twitter-pated part, and then also Poor Thumper every time he got scolded like twice from his mother, from saying something like how Bambi looked. If you don't have anything to say that's nice, don't say nothing at all. And then I thought they cut out a scene, but then later it was there when he was gonna just eat the blossoms and leave the greens. And I love that's probably one of my favorite parts is the mother scolding him for that, and he says his little saying, but they never show the father. I'm like, where's the father at?
You know, I a couple things about what you guys said. You know, they made every animal nice.
Mm-hmm.
In the forest, every forest animal, that is. You know, there were dogs, you know, vicious dogs later, and then even the challenge for Feline by another deer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's kind of natural and wasn't really an evil deer. It's just what deer do. But so with every animal is cute and adorable, and how could you possibly shoot at these creatures? You know, so man, yes, is shown in a poor light, and then not to even speak of there's a fire at the end of the movie, and it's just because they abandoned the fire and they just walked away from it and didn't put it out. What kind of campers are these guys? They hunt without licenses. They don't put out their fire when they walk away. It's just, these are the worst people ever.
Speaking of that, Disney wanted to have humans burnt alive by their own fire, and then he decided to toss that idea away.
That'll teach him.
It's an interesting. This movie was. Wait, never mind. The wrong movie.
We are talking about Bambi.
Yes, I know.
It's not
Mar
Bambi,
mentions
it's Treasure Island.
Mar mentions that perhaps Bambi is a reason why owning firearms isn't appealing to her, and I think that's what, you know, movies do. Like Pocahontas, there's certainly a theme of you know, protecting the land, and you know, it's not just for you, it's for everybody, and you know, that's an effective message if that's true. If Bambi you know, discourages you from that, that's effective storytelling. Speaking of storytelling, another thing you guys mentioned, Twitter pated.
Twitter pated.
Pated?
Twitter pated.
Twitter pated.
Mm-hmm.
I beg your pardon. Thank you. I just Twitter pated. Okay, so the owl. So they're watching the birds fly around. These now teenage animals, I guess they are. So they're watching these birds chase each other, and the owl explains that, oh yeah, they're into each other. So explains Twitter pated.
And his head spins full circle off of his shoulders, by the way.
So bringing this back to storytelling, explains what Twitter pated it. Is it Twitter pated?
It is Twitter pated.
Twitter pated. Thank you. And then literally 50 seconds later in the movie, it's happening to these animals.
Yep.
So it's not like they introduced this concept and then later in the movie is a payoff or where this is now happening to them. It's literally in the next shot where this is happening to the animals. So there's like, they just learned about it and immediately it happens to them. So
that's how it happens.
Which is cool, which is fine. It's just now it just goes to show you how storytelling has gotten more sophisticated. You know, back in 1942, this probably didn't. If I had seen this as a viewer in 1942, probably wouldn't have raised my eyebrows. But watching it now, in the way movies are now and storytelling, I thought, man, that was quick. That was really fast. But again, if this were a movie made for children, and I'm not sure that it was, I think it was made for everybody. But perhaps that's, you know, maybe that was called for. I don't know. Noah, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
It was released during World War II, and it didn't do very well at first, but now it's considered a Disney classic. So nowadays it's done better than it did when it was released. And actually, there was at one point, Diane or Diana, was it Diane? Diana.
Diane Disney.
Yeah, Diane. She was she was protesting to
She had a sign up and
to
everything.
Disney that he should not have the mother killed, and she said the mother did not need to die. And Disney said, "Well, I'm just following the book." But she said, "Yeah, but you've taken other liberties before and changed it. You could do anything you want. You're Disney."
Yeah.
But he decided to leave it in in. So
And then his eyes went red, and he was like,
oh my gosh. Stop.
We're leaving it in.
Just like Mr. Toad.
But
So
I like it. I like the movie.
I liked it too. I don't know if it's going to be one I watch every year. I can probably tell you now that it won't be. I'm glad I watched it.
It was beautiful.
But there's not a large, and correct me if I'm wrong, there's not a large Bambi presence in the theme parks, is there?
I know that at Epcot during the Flower, was it Flower and Wine Festival?
Flower and Garden.
Flower and Garden Festival. I'm sure they have wine, but they had an area where they had Bambi, they had Thumper, and they had Flower for the what are those things called?
Topiaries.
Yes, topiaries. Thank you. They had an area right there at like when you're walking into the World Showcase area on your right. So I mean, they have that. I think Disneyland had a statue or something for him at one point. But yeah, you don't see it very much.
Don't they have the statues over there by the castle? They have like those pillars with the
Yeah.
the little gold, bronze statues.
Yeah, I think
But
they
that's
have
probably the
that Thumper there. I think.
extent of it. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are no attractions. Really, certainly no rides.
They could have done a really cool dark ride for Bambi, I think.
Yeah, they could have. But I think other movies lend themselves better to that. What was that?
Yeah, like the dramatic scene would be a shotgun that you hear as you're going through.
That's horrible. Everything, Mom, what's going on?
Are they going to have little April showers dripping on you as you go
Yes,
by?
hey, see, that's much more pleasant than a shotgun. What's wrong with you?
Wanda is in the house. Wanda cruising for food.
Welcome.
Yep, also known as Wanda Benita Chiquita Byram. She has been on a hunt for crawfish. She's going to be
And
vlogging
she's
that.
killing them herself.
Yes.
What's wrong with you?
She's one of the hunters.
I don't like crawfish personally. The when we had them the first and only time, I think they tasted like canal water. Maybe they weren't cooked right. I don't know.
You had them, not me. I don't.
They're
know.
tiny little lobsters.
Yeah.
I don't even remember having them.
They're very interesting.
Uh,
Enjoy those.
But I digress.
we can kind of wrap this up. I want to say at the end, we mentioned we never see man. Bambi's mother mentions man being a danger, and we never see them. We never see a weapon, but we do see their campsite, and we see their unattended campfire spreading into the forest in what turns out to be the fastest spreading fire in the history of fire. That forest must have been doused in kerosene because it's within seconds the entire forest is on fire. Which again, it's exciting and certainly made for a rousing climax to the movie. But man, was that fast! They couldn't in every direction. Not just it didn't spread from the campfire's direction. It was coming at them from all directions. So as Bambi and Dad tried to escape,
a lot of dry brush in there. You didn't see it.
Yeah. I guess it was that snow was a long time ago.
It was cute and sad to see the little critters like doggy paddling up to the hill, and they're all congregating on this hill after getting out of the water. And I mean, I'm sure it's leading to more land, and then you see the father and Bambi coming up, and the music's playing, and everything's well again. So that's Yeah.
Another scene worth mentioning is when Feline is being chased by the hunting dogs, or were they hunting dogs, or were they wild wolves, or
They
they
look
were
like
hunting dogs?
dogs.
They're hunting dogs. Yeah.
So she's chased up onto a little rock ledge, and then Bambi comes to her rescue and rams the pack of dogs aside, and then starts Jackie Chan kicking them, like takes care of all of them. And Bambi's a hero. If this movie were marketed a different way, I mean, that's a totally different movie. I didn't expect that. I thought Bambi was a little fawn the whole time, but no, it's Simba grown up.
He's like, my woman, and he like kicked their butt and
Yeah.
made the avalanche of rocks come down. I said to Derek, how sad they all got crushed by rocks.
That scene as it was building and Feline was like running around scared, going around like the mountain. It reminded me of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs as the witch was climbing up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like the same animated sequence stuff.
I'm saying Feline was the witch.
Yeah.
No.
She was like,
I like how she had twin fawns. I mean, they were boy and girl, I would assume, but she had fawns at the end, so that was nice.
and a doe.
One last thing, and then we can move on. What's nice about Disney Plus is I think most everything on Disney Plus has been restored or remastered in some way. So, and I thought that the colors of this movie, as I was watching it, it really popped. This movie looked great for a film made in 1942. They must, and I know it was released on home video, I think in 2004. So I don't know if that's when they did it, but now the version on Disney Plus looks fantastic. Looks really sharp.
Probably use one of the early Disney advancements in animation was a 3-plane camera or multi-plane camera.
Yeah,
you can see the different levels, especially like at the beginning. They really try to draw you into that forest aspect with
the waterfall and everything.
Yeah, so it's cool how they the animation of it too. Really good animation for that time.
So what you're talking about, a multi-plane camera, is they have one scene, maybe the very background here, and then they have trees here.
Yeah, it's like
Bambi is here, making it
you give it
3 different animation cells, giving you a bit of depth that they weren't able to get before that. So yeah, very cool.
Should we move to Treasure Island?
Let's do that. All right, it is 1:38. Okay. Yes, Disney's Treasure Island. Again, I don't have much of a backstory on this. It was released in 1950. It's an hour and 36 minutes long, based on the Robert Louis Stevenson story. And this, what I found out was this is actually the 5th Treasure Island movie made. The first by Disney, certainly. But there were a couple of silent movies made, and then 2 others, I think in the 30s. And then in 1950, this came out. And so this was, as movie making was taking off, this was an adventurous story that was ripe for motion pictures.
It's the first Treasure Island in color that they made, and Disney's first animated, or sorry, live action movie.
They were so lifelike.
This was a trivia question from Ben on our last 5 Foolish Mortals.
That's right.
This was the answer. Disney's first live action movie.
I don't know how you've seen this movie 4 times or more.
You said Jim or me?
You.
Oh.
You said you've seen it like 4 or 5 times, or if not more, whatever.
That's because I'm older than the moon.
No, I'm just saying I had to push myself to get through this movie. To be honest, I can't see myself watching this movie ever again. When
did you see it, Greg?
We watched it last night.
Okay. I watched it earlier this week. I watched it Wednesday or Thursday, I think.
Yeah, it was I would say it's a precursor to Pirates of the Caribbean, like I was telling you before. It's like their first trial of Pirates of the Caribbean, and this versus Pirates of the Caribbean, I would say this is way more violent than our Pirates of the Caribbean.
I think one of the things that interested me is I was a Bobby Driscoll fan. So Bobby Driscoll was he was a little boy in Song of the South. He was in the girl that was in Song of the South. They both were in So Dear to My Heart, which you can see. You can't watch Song of the South anywhere, although we do have it on disc. And he was the voice of Peter Pan. So with him being in this movie, I
could totally see that now because he has even the front teeth look like
Peter
Bobby
Pan.
Driscoll and with Peter Pan. Wow, okay.
Unfortunately, he died when he was like 31 years old.
Yeah, I saw that.
So he had a very rough life. So the reason why I wanted to watch Treasure Island was because of Bobby Driscoll and knowing him from the other movies. And
while we're talking about that real quick, as my wife and I were watching, I was rewatching it a bit this morning. She made the point that Bobby Driscoll resembled a current celebrity. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I think I know who you're talking about. I don't know his name, but I'll see if it's.
No, you're wrong. You're wrong. I'll just show you.
Oh,
we thought there was a resemblance here.
No, maybe
this isn't the best comparison, but we thought it's a little bit like Taylor Swift. Take that for what it's worth. It means nothing.
I really can't see. That's not even who I was thinking about. He makes this face with his eyebrows are like this, and I was thinking of the guy from the first Maze Runner movie, or the guy that played Eustace in the third Narnia movie. He was the annoying kid, and he turned into a dragon in that movie. That's who he kind of looks like with his eyebrows pointed like that. But go ahead. Sorry.
No, not at all. Not at all. You had mentioned Pirates of the Caribbean, and my thought was that the character of Long John Silver was a huge influence on the character of Jack Sparrow, because throughout the movie, he is scheming to get ahead for himself, much like Jack Sparrow did. Jack Sparrow has more of an arc. I mean, there are more movies, more story, but I thought, man, Pirates of the Caribbean borrowed a lot from Treasure Island, and reading and I've never read Treasure Island either. Have you? Any of you guys?
I've never.
Yeah, but this is the story where we get the tropes of the one-legged pirate, the parrot on the shoulder, the tropical island, the map, the treasure map with an X on it. This is all from Treasure Island. So this is such an influence on pirate culture, popular culture as we know it. And the makers of Pirates of the Caribbean, those movies, borrowed a lot from that as well. Later on, Barbossa has one leg. The one from the first Pirates movie, there's the Cotton. The character of Cotton has a bird on his shoulder. Certainly tropical islands. There's a map in the series of movies, and all of that stuff. It's all influenced by Treasure Island, and I thought Long John Silver is absolutely an influence for Jack Sparrow.
Yeah, I just thought some of the things like that Bobby Driscoll would say, like he had the little pistol gun. And said,
not just him, some of the other things, characters
like,
too.
Take one step and I'll blow your brains out. He did, and then he shot him. I'm like, he just shot him. This is Disney, and then you see his. Oh, I'm sorry, but if that happened, nobody would even have time to do that. They would just fall, and you see like a little, like I don't know if you see a little bit of red or whatever, but there was more blood in this than I think you see in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, we were talking about this before the stream, and the only blood I can remember from Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl, the first movie, is when they need blood to drip onto the treasure, so they cut a hand. So it's not like battle blood. It's not a fight where you see blood.
Yeah.
But in this movie, there are some gunshots and then blood. Now the blood on the gunshot wounds look like somebody threw a pitted cherry at somebody's forehead, and then it's like, and then they fall.
Yeah.
Again,
Acted. Yeah.
movie making and movie storytelling has gotten more sophisticated over time. So, things are
The
a
sword
little more realistic now. But I mean, this is a G-rated movie. Disney wanted this to be a G-rated movie. So, and certainly the guidelines for what a G-rated movie is then and what they are now are a little bit different. But yeah, that was interesting that this seemed to be a little more bloody, although there were arguably more deaths in the new Pirates movies. There's a lot of death in this movie too.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because I looked at because Greg was saying that there was a few scenes. I mean, like with the sword fighting, they were like fighting more defensively. They were offensively fighting defensively. So it was kind of funny how they were fighting, and then if someone got stabbed, you wouldn't see it. You would just see the back, and you would see like this, and then the guy would fall down with the hint of the guy being stabbed. So it was mild in that aspect, but there was still a death.
Or they would punch and it would go like this and like go like that, and he'd go, oh, and it's like you didn't even get touched or anything.
But I was curious because it was the movie was made in 1950. What other movies were out during that time? So these were the top 10 movies of 1950. King Solomon's Mines was number 1. Annie, Get Your Gun was number 2. Cheaper by the Dozen, number 3. Cinderella, number 4. Born Yesterday, number 5. Father of the Bride, number 6. Broken Arrow, At War with Amy is number 7. Three Little Words, number 8. Francis, All About Eve, number 9, which was the movie of the year. What they call it, the Best Motion Oscar,
Best Picture of the year.
And then number 10,
Best Motion Oscar. Yes, that's what they call it.
and then number 10 was Kim. So I was trying to relate it to movies that might be around at that time, and
Some
to
of
me,
those are
it still
remakes
seems
now that we have.
still seems a little harsh for that time of year. It might be harsh for Disney, but I was trying to compare it to other movies that were around.
Yeah.
In 1975, when it was re-released in the theaters, at that time they started giving movies PG ratings, G ratings, and Disney was a strict G rating. So they took 9 minutes away from that, which I'm sure would have been the scenes "I'm going to blow your head off" and stuff like that. I don't know if he said that. I think he said,
did say
shoot
that
you in the head. But
I'm pretty sure he said blow your head off or blow your brains out or something like that.
I don't know.
It was pretty violent.
But they took 9 minutes away. The version that's on Disney Plus is the original version that they released. So it's 136 minutes.
You get that extra 9 minutes that
so
you don't even know that you missed.
Yeah, you get to see that. So it is interesting what you mentioned what Disney would classify as allowable at that time. To what it would be classified as now. But it was a cheesy, violent movie, if you want to call it that.
Rob Fuzz is in the house now, too.
Uh-oh.
Did it go off?
No.
All right. Okay. Sorry. I can't hear it. I don't have my headset on.
It's a thought that came.
I've got to fix that. Welcome, Rob. All right, just a bit about. I don't have as many notes for this movie as I did for Bambi, but at the beginning of the movie, there's a tavern on the west shore of England, and it's pretty empty. And this dark, mysterious figure walks in, and it's a sweaty, dirty, pirate-looking guy with a giant scar across his face. And he goes into this tavern and walks up to the bar, and that's where little Jim Hawkins is putting things away or whatever.
He's a bartender at his age.
Yeah. Rated G. So you've got little Jim Hawkins, who's what, 10, 11 years old? I don't know how old he's supposed to be. but he's in there alone with this guy who's clearly a murderer, who is clearly bad news. So he walks up, asks for a double rum. I'm not a big drinker. I don't know what a double rum is, but apparently that's a thing. And Jim Hawkins knows what it is too. Again, it was 1765. Things have changed. I know. But then he says, and this evil-looking guy starts talking to Jim Hawkins and asks questions like, "So are you here alone? Who runs this place? Your mother? Where's she? Oh, she's in town." So,
Talking to strangers.
And he's asking all these creepy questions that I would hope a kid today would know enough not to answer. You know what I mean? It's just Jim Hawkins. Come on, use your head. Again, I know it was a different time and place, but yeah. Use your head, Jim.
He has that drunk guy in the back too, coming down the stairs that doesn't care about his health and doesn't listen and drinks his life away, literally, because that's what happened.
And that's another thing. Clearly, none of the characters in this movie are particularly bright, or not many of them, because this character who we come to know as Black Dog, that's his name, comes in and is looking for Captain Billy Bones, who is a lodger at this tavern where Jim Hawkins works. And he's this old guy, old alcoholic, drunk guy who has apparently a treasure map. So Black Dog knows this, and I guess a lot of people know it. And so as he asks Jim Hawkins, Black Dog asks Jim Hawkins, "Do you know Billy Bones?" And Jim Hawkins actually plays dumb for this one. Tells him all about his personal life, but is protecting Billy Bones. And he says, "Bones? No, I don't know Bones." But then Black Dog notices an open closet door or something, and there's a trunk, a suitcase or trunk, and it's monogrammed WB for William Bones. So, Billy Bones, I know you're a drunkard, but maybe hide yourself a little bit better. Close that door, or maybe turn the trunk so your monogram isn't showing to the world. Something. I don't know. Just do a better job. So now Black Dog knows Billy Bones is somewhere here. So he runs out and is going to get others, apparently. Why he couldn't take care of Billy Bones himself is beyond me. I don't really know.
It's way far away.
Yeah. So the next thing we know is Jim Hawkins is running out the door and immediately runs into a blind guy who, again, looks like bad news. And if you can't avoid a guy that doesn't have his sight, I don't know what to tell you. But so this guy now threatens to break Jim Hawkins' arm if he doesn't take him to William Bones. And
they've gotten away so easily.
Yeah, it's why. Anyway, okay, I can talk more about that. So the blind guy gives Billy Bones a message, and it's a torn out page from a Bible that has a black spot on it. It's the black spot. Did you immediately know what the black spot meant?
I thought of the black spot from Pirates, where Johnny Depp had the black spot on his hand in the second movie.
Yes, another influence that Pirates of the Caribbean took from this movie.
You don't remember
that? So the black spot, I've come to learn, is sort of a request of sorts, saying, "Hey, we know you got a treasure map. You need to share it with us." So I think that's what the black spot was. So, and later in the movie, lots of things happen, but Long John Silver is given a black spot that he totally disregards. Like, I'm not accepting this. So, like, apparently it's not a curse like Jack Sparrow was given. It's just sort of you need to share your treasure with us. I guess that's what it's about. So the blind guy gives Billy Bones the black spot turns toward the door. I don't know how he remembers where the door is.
Oh, Derek, that too.
And runs out the tavern. Like, clearly not blind.
And
Exactly where everything is.
But
So, I don't know. That was
he did manage to shut the door behind him too.
so that was a little iffy.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. There's again movie making.
In front of people that really like that in real life, or just saying in the movie, it was very unrealistic.
You per Wisdom Video said the black spot is pirate code marked for death.
Yeah.
Well, that's not what I read, though. I didn't know that, and perhaps I didn't read enough. But so if you don't abide by the black dot, they're saying share the treasure or we're going to kill you, I guess is what they're saying. But Long John Silver disregards the black spot later. He kind of talks his way out of it. Because if you don't know the story, Long John Silver is. Wait a minute. Should we explain the movie, the story, a little bit?
I think there's a lot of people that want to watch it, so I don't know if we want to spoil too much of it.
It's all about finding treasure, but
Yes.
give yourself about an hour and 15 minutes or so before you can expect them to actually go look for the treasure. So
I text Jim and I said, an hour and 6 minutes into this movie, and they still haven't even started looking for the treasure.
And little Jim is finding all kinds of weird strangers. The weirdest one was that guy that just happens to be up on a rock and jumps down in front of him, looking like something from Lord of the Rings, like Smeagol or something.
I thought the same thing.
And his eyes are like bugging out. And I told Derek, I'm sure he stinks really bad.
His name was Ben Gunn, I believe.
Yes, and he had a high-pitched voice. Apparently, he was marooned on the island. Another thing from Pirates of the Caribbean, being marooned on an island.
So who he reminded me of is, I don't know if you can see this,
But that's a dog from the Black Cauldron.
the way he acted and moved around, he reminded me of the guy from the Black Cauldron. So maybe this was inspired from that movie.
The dog, not the guy.
Yeah.
His voice.
So that was my image of that guy. He was like wackadoo, jumping like.
Yeah, he was pretty out there.
My initial thought, as soon as I saw him, I said, "This is Smeagol." I thought the same thing you thought. So I thought maybe this is an influence for that. Also, it's a very influential story, as I've come to find out.
I don't know if this was prior to tarot card reading. I'm sorry.
Now, the question is: so it's a boring movie. I'll actually say it's not as boring as you're making it sound. I mean, it was. I think the title's a little misleading. Treasure Island's a stretch. It should have been called maybe Pirate Ship. Maybe that would have been a better, because that's most of the movie.
It had its moments, I'll say.
Yeah, there's not a lot of treasure in the movie, but yeah, so maybe if the movie were called Pirate Ship, maybe that would be more apt. Now, having said that, maybe I was criticizing the way you're making it sound. It isn't the most exciting movie I've ever watched.
Well, this is kind of on Wikipedia. I was looking at it. It says, as things progress and they're going for the treasure, it says the pirates are overjoyed and take back the black spot, then proceed to a grueling treasure hunt.
Very grueling.
All it did was go from one scene to the next, and they were already there at the treasure thing.
They were out of breath. Let me tell you, that was grueling. Just a few steps.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. Do they need a map? Like,
especially if the old guy found it.
The old guy did find it.
Ben Gunn did not need a map.
It was like, oh, gold, throwing it up in the air.
and that was another question I had. This map was written by a famous pirate captain named Captain Flint. Was that his name?
Flinch or Flint, one of the two. Yeah,
Flint, I think. So, come to find out, the ship that's going to find this treasure, they happen to be Captain Flint's former crew, including Long John Silver. why? No, I don't know this, but if they were Captain Flint's crew, wouldn't they know where the treasure was buried, on which island it was buried, and couldn't they just go there and look for it? Did they need a map? They were all looking for this map. Oh, and by the way, Billy Bones hid the map in a trunk with his initials on it. So again, not the greatest of hiding really important maps, but whatever.
They kept hiding it in their shirts too throughout the movie. Every person that had it, they'd stuff it in their shirt. Did they not have pockets during this time or what? And so
I don't know. Yeah, without really spoiling, I don't know. I mean, this is a centuries old story, but
the end was weird.
I would suggest watching it. I mean, it's not terrible. It's an hour and a half long. So it's not like you're wasting an entire day with it. But it's I did like Long John Silver. I liked his voice. It's the quintessential pirate voice. I liked Billy Driscoll as Jim Hawkins. I liked the Squire. I can't remember his name. Lively, was that his name? Liverly? Yeah. Liverly. It wasn't Liverly.
Liverly.
Anyway, but he was the smartest character and most upstanding. Although so was the captain that they've commissioned to take them to find the island.
Livesy. Okay. If you don't get anything out of this movie, at least teach your kids this is what not to do when a child is confronted by a bunch of strangers. Because Billy Driscoll gives plenty of examples of what not to do when you're confronted by strangers.
How about Mrs. Hawkins, Jim's mom, letting him go? You know, I can understand, oh, we need the money. You got to take this job, even if it's dangerous. He apparently had a job. He was running the tavern. Whatever. And then, so they have this treasure map. Jim Hawkins shows it to, who did he show it to? It was I can't remember his name, but the doctor, the Squire,
Dr. Livesey.
Yeah, that guy, and then the other guy, the not so bright guy who flapped his gums and let it be known that they have a treasure map. I can't remember that character's name.
Trelawney and Captain Smollett.
Trolli? Is that it?
Trelawney.
Trowelly?
Trelawney from another movie.
Yeah, that guy.
Trelawney is Professor Trelawney from
Harry Potter.
Yeah. Because he was looking for, they have this map and he goes, oh, this is Captain Flint's treasure. We need to go get this. But he needs a ship and a crew. And that's where he gets another captain who's an upstanding character in the movie. But then for some reason, he also gets Long John Silver, who I guess is a cook. He's running his own tavern. But he's got his own agenda because he was part of Captain Flint's original crew. So he kind of talks his way, very Jack Sparrow-ish like, and talks his way onto the crew with the notion or with the plan to absolutely mutiny on this ship. So once the treasure's found, they're going to kill everybody and take their what they believe is their treasure. Blue Nose, welcome to the show.
The one thing that Long John Silver did care for Jim Hawkins.
I think he did really care for him.
As conniving as he was, he did ultimately care for him.
And
which is something that Jack Sparrow did with Will Turner, young Will Turner. Kind of the same thing. Very similar.
He cared for Long John Silver, too, because of what happened at the end, which we probably shouldn't say for those of you that want to watch the movie. It was a turn of events that I did not understand at first.
Well, I didn't either, but I read the plot. I didn't read the book. I've never read Treasure Island, but I read the Wikipedia entry for it. And the movie, the ending of this movie is a bit different than the ending of that story, the original Robert Louis Stevenson story. But I didn't understand. Should we spoil the end of the movie? Because I don't exactly understand.
Well, I mean, it is over 50 years old. So those of you that don't want to hear, just cover your ears.
Fair warning. We're going to talk about the end of the movie. Okay, so they're about. So all the good guys are about to take Long John Silver to the Hispaniola, the ship, with the treasure to go back to England, and they're going to give him leniency because he worked to protect Jim Hawkins.
Mm-hmm.
So earlier in the scene, Myers and the Mouse, welcome to the show. Earlier in the scene, they mentioned putting Long John Silver in shackles, and for some reason they don't do that. So they're on the rowboat going back to the pirate ship, and Long John Silver takes the gun that he had given Jim Hawkins earlier and orders everybody out of the ship, or out of the rowboat. And so he doesn't kill anybody, but he's in the rowboat with the treasure, and that's it. And he rows off into the sunset.
He lets him go. Jim helps him let him go.
He does help him, but he's got no food. He's got the treasure in a little rowboat. He's got one leg. No doubt he's an alcoholic. He's without rum. He's not lasting long. I don't know where he thinks he's going.
He just wanted his treasure.
I didn't understand this. He was getting leniency in England. That was established. So, and he may have even been given a little part of the treasure. I don't know about that, but I didn't understand the end of the movie. Can you help me out? Am I missing something?
He chose the rough life. He could have had it made, but he chose the rough life.
It's the life of a pirate.
Yeah.
They want their
They rode off and then he sank probably. No.
Right. Okay, so we talked about, are we done with Treasure Island?
I think so.
Yeah, I think.
Okay, all right. So we watched, going back to my list of movies that I haven't seen yet, but I'm checking them off as I see it. I had an original list of 15 movies, Disney movies that I haven't seen yet that most other people have, and I'm checking them off. I don't plan on watching all of these movies, by the way. I have no real plan to watch High School Musical or Old Yeller, really. Maybe I will. But I want to check off a lot of these movies because I haven't seen them. So of my original list of 15 movies, I've seen 4 of them now. We've talked about 2 of them today. What scale of 1 to 10, 10 being best, Greg, what would you give Treasure Island?
Probably a 6.
Derek?
That's what I was thinking too. A 6.
I think so too. That's the number.
Oh, that's horrible.
6 for Treasure Island.
I'll say.
All right, let's get off of that. Moving over to Bambi. We watched Bambi as well. Greg, what do you give Bambi?
Bambi, I would probably give it at least a 9. It's one of my favorite classics, actually.
Wow.
Growing up with it and everything. I can't put Bambi down. I think 9.
You can't put Bambi
Oh
down.
my gosh, that's not what I meant.
Here's the phrase there.
Bad choice of words. 9, I would say at least, because it's a good classic.
I'd give it a 7.
Um,
It was one of my favorite movies, but after this last time I saw it in a different light.
Well, you're an adult now. Most of the time.
I give it a 7.
yeah, being the first time I watched it was last night. I feel that this movie is better aimed toward young children. Movie making has gotten more sophisticated. In 1942, I would think that Bambi would be seen as a great triumph. It looked great, but watching it now, I don't know if I need to watch it again. I'm going to say 6 also for this. It's a classic, certainly, but it's not one of my favorites. But I'm glad I watched it. I didn't hate it. I didn't hate Treasure Island either, so I'm going to give 6 to both of them.
So we're going to let you pick. Well, not let you, but you'll pick the next 2 movies. What next 2 movies do you think we should do?
Let's see. I'm looking at this. let's go The Sword in the Stone. That's the one I'm most interested in watching.
I haven't seen that in a long time.
And perhaps Dumbo.
Okay.
Or
Dumbo,
no, that's good. Let's do that. Let's go Sword in the Stone.
okay. Dumbo on Disney Plus is not going to be the full version like on DVD. They just take out the crow scene, is what I heard. Which I don't know why, but they do.
When I write on my paper, I gotta get a more steady camera.
Are you having an earthquake? That's at least a 3.4 right there.
Yes. All right, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for the idea for this live stream. I enjoyed it greatly, and I want to thank everybody that tuned in to help me for my shameless plea for watch hours. So thank you so much, everybody. And
Old Dumbo, yes, Old Dumbo.
Old Dumbo, the original, the animated, the fourth Disney animated feature film. So The Sword in the Stone and Dumbo is next. Are we going to do this next week?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. 1 o'clock Eastern, whatever time Pacific.
Time.
I could have done the math. I chose not. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Oh, what do you guys have coming up?
Well, one thing I want to give a shout out to you and also to Disney Nerd Herders. You guys, if you can help share the message out, help these guys. They have 1,000 subscribers, but they're working on their watch hours. That has to be up to 4,000 hours for them to be monetized. So they're in the process of doing that. So if you guys can share videos, watch their videos, so they can get their points, that would be awesome. These guys
just put their videos on play and do your stuff, and you'll give them watch hours. So
Disney Nerd Herders, More Sunshine, please definitely support them. We rotate between Disney and cruising because we are, after all, explorers. Next week we just confirmed it is a cruising show. We're going to have Spikers Crazy Adventures on our show. Yep, and they confirmed it. So
that was my idea, by the way,
on our show for this Wednesday. So we're excited to have them. And sometime soon in June, we will be having the 5 Foolish Mortals.
Yep, we'll be back.
Absolutely. Thank you for mentioning us. And I saw earlier in the chat, Charlie had this stream going on 3 different channels.
Oh wow!
So he's doing his part. So I thank
awesome.
Disney Nerd Herders for that. You will next see me tonight, 8 o'clock. Mouse Talk invited me on, and we're talking more movies. I think movie franchises. So
you're talking That's Bambi awesome. And Treasure Island,
Pirates of the Caribbean.
That would be a fun.
Whatever. I would love to talk about Pirates of the Caribbean. I love those movies.
It'd be a fun movie. It'd be a fun one.
Yes. Absolutely. Thank you, everybody, so much. Hope to see you on Mouse Talk at 8 o'clock. D&G Explorers, thank you guys so much. How do you end your show?
Sorry, I was watching. Dennis Algazi said that we should watch Fantastic Mr. Fox. And on that, I'm Derek.
I'm Gregory.
But if you forget our names, it's okay, because I'm also a little explorer.
I'm Big Explorer.
And as Walt Disney once said,
we are just getting started.
Ooh, they did that pretty good.
Thanks, guys. I have watched Fantastic Mr. Fox and enjoyed it very much. And I did not know it was on Disney Plus. How about that? That's very cool.
I gotta watch that too.
And it's not very long. That's a good one. But I can't put it on my movies I haven't seen list. I have seen it, and it's pretty good. Thanks, everybody. Hopefully I'll see you at 8 o'clock on Mouse Talk. Ending broadcast. Bye, everybody.
All right.
Uh-oh, earthquake.